In this video, I want to talk about what I think Soulmask could change to make it an absolutely great game. Don't get me wrong, I already enjoy Soulmask the way it is, but I have some ideas on how they could improve both the gameplay loops and the systems that are already in Soulmask, and I wanted to share those with you today. On top of that, I'd like you to get involved in the conversation in the comments section below. You can tell me what you think about my ideas, or share your own ideas, or a mixture of both. This is a game that is in early access, and what we have today may not be what we see at 1.0 release. And it really is up to us to send feedback to the developers to let them know how we want the game shaped and formed for the future. Starting right out, let's talk about the main character, because I know this is a point of contention for a lot of people. There are many people that want the main character to be more important than it already is. And there are a lot of people that want the main character to be able to grow as powerful as Tribesman. I absolutely don't want to see this happen. I would like to see the main character maybe play a bigger role in certain areas, but I don't want to see the main character have the ability to be as strong as Tribesman. Doing that would remove a big part of what makes Soulmask different from other games. It also would remove a lot of what you should be doing in Soulmask. So if you can just make your character the most amazing character, you would no longer need a lot of the tribesmen that you deter. And deterring tribesmen, bringing them back to your base, leveling them up, and then controlling them to take them out on an adventure is a large part of what Soulmask is all about. And I don't feel like this is communicated very well by Soulmask. I feel like the fact that we have character creation at the beginning of the game gives us a connection with that character that we have to then walk away from and start looking for other tribesmen. In my opinion, I think they should just remove the character creator from the beginning of the game, give us an option of male or female, and then throw us into the world. Communicate the story that you are not worthy of doing anything other than being sacrificed by your tribe, and then the fact that the mask is something that we found gives us a purpose to put together a tribe. Then I think what they should do with the character creator is take it over to the mysterious stone tablet and allow you to reshape the body of any of your tribesmen, including your main character. So the entirety of the character creation process is then done through the mysterious stone table, so that you can look the way that you want to with either your main character or any of your tribespeople. And I think this would fit lore-wise because it is all about the technology that you're finding, the different masks, the mysterious stone table, all those things that you come across in the game is what actually gives you the power to do all the content in the game. Then I think a cool way for them to boost the power of your main character would be to place trinkets behind different bosses. So when you're going through a barbarian barrack, you might get something like a headband that you can then equip on your main character, and that would buff your entire tribe. Maybe giving them an increased boost to morale, or giving them an increased boost to crafting speed, something like that. Additionally, they could have placeables for your main character as well, like a throne. Many people have said they want to see that in game, but I'd want to see some kind of function along with it. So not just a throne, but the fact that your character is sitting in that throne then gives some kind of buff to your entire tribe in that specific base location. So if you have multiple bases and you don't have your main character at those multiple bases, you won't get those bonuses. And they could just create some kind of socket system like they have with the red crystals for the mask, that you're able to socket different items into your main character, like headbands or rings or little trinkets that you've come across that then give you these bonuses. The other thing that I really think needs to be addressed with Soulmask is the progression and the speed of leveling both your main character level, your awareness level, your proficiency levels. I feel like all of these things on official servers are too grindy. I understand that they want the game to be a certain length, but honestly, I'm already at the point where I feel like I want to start over and play the game again, but I'm also at the point where I don't want to do that because it's going to be so so grindy. I really feel like the fun of Soulmask unlocks right around level 35, so figuring out a way to allow a character to get to level 35 a little bit faster, I feel like is an important thing to do. And I know I could always just spin up a private server and have boosted rates like what I'm playing on now, but the game can't just be fun on private servers or solo games. It has to be fun across the official servers as well, and I think a really important thing is for them to figure out the progression to keep people invested in the game and having fun from the beginning all the way to the end. Whether they decide to lower the amount of XP required in order to reach level 35 or they boost the amount of XP gained by different actions, one way or another, I think allowing people to move through the game a little bit faster is an important thing for Soulmask to look at. If I compare it to a game like Conan Exiles, where a skilled player with good knowledge of the game can be level 60 max level in about 4 hours, and an unskilled player can be level 60 in about 12 hours, and we use that as a baseline, it is far removed from what you're going to be spending to level all the way up in Soulmask. Even on a boosted server, it took me almost 8 hours to go from level 50 to 51, and this just makes the game grindy. There's plenty of fun content on the map for people to go and engage with, but I feel like right now, people aren't actually able to get that because they're still grinding levels to get to the point where they can go in to those locations confidently. And I think in a game like Soulmask, where there are things that are already gating you from being able to engage in certain content, like having a better level of equipment or losing a tribesman and having to wait for them to respawn, we really don't need all the front end loaded grind of gaining experience on top of that. I also feel like the amount of items dropped in certain locations needs to be boosted as well. If you defeat a really tough boss, you should get a decent amount of loot from that boss. I can't tell you how many times I've done a live stream or posted a video and shown how many things drop on the server that I'm playing on, and people talk about the fact that, man, there's a lot of things dropping in your boss, I only get 1 or 2 items. And I feel like that degrades the fight a little bit because it's not as rewarding going through that fight and going through that content just to get 1 or 2 items. And I feel like the devs need to find the balance of the risk versus reward of these fights. So the fight that you went into was risky enough that the reward is good enough that you feel good about going in and doing that fight. And then additionally, not only does it feel good, it makes you want to come back and engage in that content again. Since we're talking about loot and rewards, let's dive into this. There are some really cool things that can drop in different areas in Soulmask. One of those things is the mechanical weapons, another would be the ancient bone stuff, and then there's the archaic stuff and the mysterious stuff. Right now, the mechanical weapons drop in a lot of locations. I'd like to see them expand on that and maybe just have them drop in all of the mechanical dungeons. They could put some restrictions to the quality level if it's a really low dungeon, but then the archaic and the ancient bone and the mysterious only drop in the procedural dungeons. And I'd like to see them expand on that and take some of those things and put them in the other dungeons as well. Again, they could gate the quality, or they could make it so that chess pieces only spawn in a specific dungeon, and if you want the leg pieces, you have to go to another dungeon. This expands the type of content that people are going to be engaging in. So instead of saying, well, if I want this specific gear, the only thing I have to do is go to the procedural dungeon and run that over and over again until I have all the gear. Instead, it opens up the door to say, I can go to the procedural dungeon and get more of this gear, but I really want to do a Holy Ruins instead, and I have a chance of getting a chess piece in that dungeon. I think anytime in a survival game you can allow players to play the way they want to and engage in the content that they want to and find really cool rewards is a positive thing. Teleporters, and specifically the personal teleporters, the ones that you can build at your base, need to be flushed out. Right now, there's so many different rules for these teleporters across the official servers and then into private servers that it's already confusing to people when I'm talking about these things in patch notes videos or showing content in my own gameplay. I think what they need to do is just make a decision about the personal teleporters, and in my personal opinion, they should just be exactly like the teleporters that are already on the map, allowing you to teleport with items in your backpack. Maybe they limit it to the first 2 rows of items in your backpack so you can't just take everything, but there needs to be a firm decision and direction on this for official servers, and it shouldn't be that far off from what we have on private servers. Currently, the rules on official servers is that you are not allowed to take tribesmen with you, you are not allowed to take a mount with you, and you can't have anything in your inventory. You can only take items in your hotbar. This becomes a big issue if you are playing as an archer, because as a melee character, technically you could fit enough stuff in your hotbar to be deadly when you come out the other side. But if you're playing as an archer, you cannot put those arrows in your hotbar, so you are not able to use the personal teleporter and be as deadly as a melee character. I'm sure they haven't made a decision on this because there's some balancing issues between PvP and PvE, and what I would say about that is it's okay to have different rules for PvP than it is for PvE. So on PvE, maybe you allow people to carry whatever they want to through that personal teleporter because it really doesn't harm anyone else on the server. Where on PvP, maybe you gate it to where you can only teleport with the armor that you're wearing and whatever's in your hotbar. I'm not sure where the perfect balance is for the personal teleporters, but I feel like right now it is very confusing and it shouldn't have to be that confusing. On top of that, I'd like to see the ability to have an item that allows you to return home. It could be something you could craft on the mysterious stone table, like a bracelet or something like that, where you could use that bracelet to return back to your base. It could be a one-time use thing, and you would have to craft it every time in order to use it again. This could be easily balanced for PvP as well, where there's an amount of time that you have to stand there and wait to be teleported back to your base. So not something that you could just be in a PvP fight and click a button and disappear right in front of whoever's trying to fight you. But I think this would be a really cool feature and actually would reduce the need for additional teleporters. I know that they are planning on putting teleporters at the top of the pyramids as well as at the top of the ancient ruins so that you can teleport in and out of those locations. However, I think just the return home function could be really nice, especially if you get turned around in a holy ruin and you're not sure how to get back out. You could use this maybe expensively crafted item to just return home. I really want to see them add the perfect remodel option to official servers. Now, I don't think they should add it the way that they added it to private servers. I think the perfect remodel option should cost more in order to either save them in the mysterious stone tablet with the upgraded and leveled up proficiencies, but I also think maybe it should just cost more to revive them when they die. So instead of a couple of green crystals and some mask energy, you make it more expensive with other resources or just the amount of resource that you already require. With the amount of grind that's in the game right now, and even if they boosted it a little bit, I feel like this is a very good quality of life change for both PvP and PvE players. Crafting from chests or crafting from inventory. Now, technically you can already do this as long as you have a tribesman that's working on the bench. They'll go and get the resources and bring them back to the bench and then craft whatever item there is. However, I'd like to see them add a feature where you don't necessarily craft from inventory like you see in other games where the items just magically fly up your butt, out your mouth, and into the crafting station. What I'd like to see is that if you walk up to a crafting station and you want to craft something, there's a button that you can press to create a queue for you to craft it. That would then prompt one of your tribesmen, maybe the one that's taking care of your campfire, to go and get those items out of the chest, bring them to that bench, and then once those items are placed in the bench, your character immediately starts crafting it. On top of that, I think it would be a really good feature if they could add a build to or keep a certain amount crafted and in chests option. So if you always wanted to have 1,000 bandages on hand, you could set up a queue for those to be crafted at any point in time when bandages drop below that number. Another really amazing quality of life feature would be to have your tribesmen just take care of your inventory. So what I'm talking about is, let's say you go out on an adventure, you loot a whole bunch of stuff, and you head back to your base. Currently, you have to run around to all the different chests and put it in those chests, or you have to put it in a dump chest, and then you could set up one person to meticulously go through and move all of those items into the appropriate chest. What I'd like to see them do is make it so that when you come back to your base as that tribesman, if you have the preferences set, you could then take control of your own character or another tribesman, and the tribesman that has things in their inventory that are not set as preferences would then automatically take those items and put them in the appropriate chests. And I personally would really love to see that feature added to the game. It would save me so much time going through and sorting out all of the loot that I bring back from my adventures. I also want to see them develop some better admin tools for those of us that are playing on private servers or on solo games, and that way we can just admin those servers a little bit better. Additionally, I think the importance of creative modes in games that have building has grown over the last couple of years, so I'd really like to see them add a creative mode to the game for those of you that like to build and want to show off your amazing creations. And in conjunction with that, I think it would be really good if they spend some time getting a mod toolkit put together so that people can start creating mods. I know that there are a lot of really cool features that modders will create and bring to the game that Soulmask may actually want to incorporate into the game as well. So having a team of modders that are putting things together and then looking at those things and saying, is this something that would be good in the base game, is a really good idea. Additionally, even if they decide they don't want to add things from mods into the base game, it gives people more quality of life, it gives them more content, it allows for a lot more customizable experience when you add modding to the game. I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for your continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. Don't forget to whack the like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more content. And if you don't want to be out of whack, there's another video on the screen right now that you can click to support more of my content.